So I'm going to be talking about our shadow aspect today and our dark side because it is the first priority that you want to do when you want to tackle getting that internal makeover, okay? Getting to the glow, getting to the light. Without the light, we have to walk through the darkness if we are to have the light. Otherwise, we are never going to enlighten if we don't clean out the junk, the residue, the old stuff, the stuff that keeps us blind internally because it's just toxic and it needs to go. So it's actually a lot of people that I seem to be talking to, they don't think that, doing their shadow work is a big deal. I concur because I was the same way. Sometimes I guess when, maybe this is just my opinion, when, I just didn't feel like worthy to invest in myself. Plus I had commitment issues. So, it wasn't until I was forced to do it. But, if you heard my stories before, it's because I wanted something in return. But let me tell you, it is the best investment that you can make in yourself because it creates that light, which makes you light. Like I said, it makes you bright. It makes you, your vision, you can see things clearer. You can see people clearer. And it's an act of self-love, which is how the universe operates. If you're not pouring and feeding into yourself, that's actually the first thing that the universe wants you to do, is just making sure that you are tending and that you are maintaining your landscape, okay? So the process of God, that's the first thing that you are going to do. You're going to take all of those old, bitter wounds at people that you haven't forgiven, childhood trauma, there's a lot of things that keep us negative and keep us bound. So we hurt people and hurt people. That is true. But if we don't heal those issues, we're not going to be able to see others clearly because we're always going to be operating out of that place of pain. So nobody's really going to have a fair chance, because that person hurt me, and then that person down there hurt me for this, and then that person before them hurt me because of this, and then we're a big mess in a toxic relationship, and we think that it's actually the person, but it's probably us. Isn't there a scripture, or, not maybe a scripture, I think, before you cast judgment on someone, make sure, you don't have anything. Look at yourself first, basically. You have one finger pointing at someone, well, you got three more pointing back at yourself. It's easy for people to, cast stones at other people. But once you clean out the internal sewer, because that's what it is, it's creating toxicity, it's creating inflammation, it's keeping us blind, it's keeping us impaired by actually getting into something meaningful. It's keeping us from loving completely and full. So you'll never be able to get that. It'll just be frustrating. And I'm telling you the truth, not because I said it, but because I know it. Okay. It keeps you blind. There's a shroud literally in the spiritual realm. If we don't get rid of stuff, if we don't let it go by plucking it out of our garden like weeds, that's where it kind of makes a hard place in our heart. And then the enemy, the devil, he is allowed legally to come in and sit in that place of pain and put a shroud over our eyes that we even have that pain. So I think that's probably why I think when I talk about doing your shadow work, why people don't really, I'm not going to say a big stereotype. Let me talk about me in general. I didn't really feel that it was important because I couldn't see that there was anything wrong with me. I just, I really did think that maybe it was somebody else. I didn't know that it was me that was causing all of these things. There are things that you will not be able to see, okay? So that's when you're going to need your spirit guides, God, your higher power, to examine yourself and say, show me what I can't see. What am I missing here? Because you want to gut. God will gut out the inside. For your makeover, it starts internally. So that's the first thing that goes. You got to get out of that ugly shadow if you're going to brighten that joint up, okay? That's your whole body. Once you go through that shadow aspect, it's painful. Yes, it is, but it's freeing. You're going to feel lighter. You're probably going to be able to breathe better. You're definitely going to be able to see better, okay? And then that's when you can start pouring good stuff in. Now it's like you've gutted the joint, okay? Now you're going to start putting in the good stuff. Put in, once you start pouring in the good stuff, then it's easier for you to pour it out, because you cannot pour out of a empty vessel. So because if we're holding on to our shadow stuff, we barely have anything to pour out at all. We are dry and parched, and because we're not getting rid of anything, we're creating diseases. We're not allowing love to flood ourselves first. And we're not allowing it's creating a blockage for anyone else to come in and feel loved, which isn't fair for the person, that's coming in. And then you're also going to start resetting your karmic debt, because now you're not running the same circles. You're not meeting the same people. It must be them. Can't be me. And I'm going to meet another person. And why is it they are just like that in a different face? Well, gee, I wonder why. It's everything that we perceive is internal. So we get back what we give out. Okay? So we have to give to ourselves first in order to receive anything meaningful and worthy. We have to walk through the darkness and embrace it. And you know what? Also, it gives you freedom. Because once you are looking at yourself and forgiving yourself and dealing with all of that stuff that you have held on for so long, and you get rid of it it's like freaking a ton of bricks or weight just have been lifted off of your soul, spirit, body. You're walking around freer. And then, because that's gone, you're seeing people the way that you see. You're going to be relieved. You're going to be happy. You're not looking at people and I guess we have a tendency to judge people. And that's when light pours in, and you start pouring the good stuff in, and then it reflects out. But you got to get the dark stuff out. I know. That was just something that I wanted to share with you. I hope that made sense. Okay? Have a good one.